Those ain't going to be lotteries. But he's such a great GM. He's going to have a chance to parlay those guys.
Small market, you've got to evaluate up and do a great job in the draft. He's collecting assets. And what I mean by assets, he's collecting draft choices that will eventually bring him some veterans to complement those young players. But with your OKC, one of the reasons, you know what, you're not a destination. So you've got to grow it from home. And that's what he's basically doing. He's saying, you know what, if we're going to win in OKC, we've got to win through the draft. We've got to win through trades. And that's what we're going to do moving forward.
Yeah, and he's asking for a lot of patience out of those fans.
They can fix it in 3 years. Not fix it, but be more competitive in 3 years.
Will be
Steven
interesting
Adams,
to see. Yeah.
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
They did get Shai Gilgeous-Alexander from the Clippers, which is
be a good
important.
Well, you take that dynamic duo. I'll take one of these other 6 or 7.
We'll talk about those later in the show. Let's bring Woj back in now because I do want to get your take, Woj, on Chris Paul. What are you hearing about the Thunder's plans for Chris Paul? You just heard Jalen allude to a lot of people talking about that they need to move him or will move him.
No, they started that process last night. As soon as this trade was agreed to, Sam Presti talking with Chris Paul's agents, and the conversation with Miami was ongoing prior to the deal that got Chris Paul to Oklahoma City. He's 34 years old. He wants to be on a team that has playoff aspirations, and certainly for Oklahoma City, their ability to move him on will be based on, I think, teams' willingness to take on 3 years, $120 million plus on a player who certainly showed his age last season. And, that's part of the reason Chris Paul was traded out for Russell Westbrook. But Miami, with Jimmy Butler, who they acquired in a sign and trade in the offseason, they don't have cap space. They are limited in draft assets moving forward. Their ability to get better is going to be through trade and a willingness to take on some salaries and some players in their 30s that others may not be willing to. The market for Chris Paul is going to be small, but Miami's at the top of that list. They'd like to try to get that deal done as soon as they can. And I was told there's some other teams, too, that are going to be discussed, but their hope in getting this deal done with Chris Paul was that he doesn't play a game in a Thunder uniform.
Okay, interesting stuff there. Woj, you mentioned some other teams. It seems like Miami's at the top of the list anyway for taking on CP3's contract. Is there anybody else that we should be looking out for who might take him on?
No, I think Miami is the focus right now, and they'll try to find a way to get a deal done with the Heat. And if not, certainly they'll open up that conversation. But you look at rosters around the league and you try to figure out, where Chris Paul would fit at 34 years old with that kind of money. It's a very short list. It probably begins and ends with Pat Riley, Eric Spoelstra, and the Heat.
All right, great stuff. Thank you so much.